Like when the pandemic started, I just started growing my hair out, and then when our shows started getting canceled or postponed, I was like, I could just keep growing my hair. Like I think a lot of people did the same thing, right? And I hadn't had long hair since I was a teenager, so now it's long. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with it, but maybe I'll bring back the pompadour again, or just have long hair. It was very difficult. It's a different kind of record. Making this record was not like making any of our other records because the pandemic sort of dictated, when we could work and when we couldn't work and how many people were in the room and so we kind of before the pandemic started, we started recording the first half of the album in November or in August of 2019. And so then in November of 2019, Forgiveness came out. And then we were going to record the other half in the spring, finish the album, and be back out on tour. But that never happened. So we were, we just would record whenever we felt it was safe to record, and when the case count per day was low, and we're lucky to have our own studio, so we could kind of go in and work anytime we want, which is amazing. And most of the time it would just be on one. So me recording Ben for all his vocals, myself recording my own vocals, and then me and Kenny, our engineer, recording guitars. So we worked around things, and it was spread out a lot longer than we were hoping for. But that also came with some good things, being able to kind of live in the moment, and some of the lyrics changing to have more insight of the pandemic, which they weren't like that before. So it had ups and downs, and it's done, and it feels great to me. So we're the type of band that I usually write all the songs and demo them, and then we all kind of get together and rehearse them. So they were all rehearsed well in advance. The only things that weren't kind of finished were lyrics. So Ben and I worked on Zoom a lot, like we're doing now, to work on lyrics during the pandemic, and then he would come in and I would track his vocals. It wasn't released as an official radio single, so we just wanted to put something out to for our fans to listen to. It was more of like having something out because we hadn't had any music out in such a long time, and more for our fans. And we'd never tried anything like that musically before, so I think it was a big challenge for us, and we were really happy with the result. And we thought it was something interesting that we can tie in with this film idea that we wanted to do episodically. It was two separate songs, and I was just writing for overall for this album. And that song in particular, I'd gone to India for the first time with my parents. I've always wanted to see where they came from, and they're from a place called Goa, which is right on the beach. And we spent an entire 3 weeks, like over Christmas there in 2017. And when I came home, like the music scene there is incredible. Like they have this trance scene, and there's all of these like cafes and restaurants and bars along the beach that have these massive speaker systems that play this kind of music. And I was hearing it nonstop for almost like 2 weeks out of those 3 weeks, and it kind of I really enjoyed it. It was like really fast, like bass lines, and really repetitive. And so when I came home, I had this idea on guitar that I translated to like a synthesizer and started just recording this thing, and it turned out to be Forgiveness Part One. And then Part Two was I worked on that afterwards. And after listening to them a bunch and playing them for the guys, like we decided instead of putting them out as two different songs, like they need to be heard together. And so that's how it ended up turning into like this almost 7 minute long prog thing, which we never really do, but it was an exciting thing to do, and yeah, it was for us, especially musically, it was challenging and fun, and keeps things fresh in a band that's almost being like, we'll be 28 years old this year as a band. And lyrically, like the whole song is about existence and realizing that the journey is more important than the end result. Um, so the so the song has to reflect that, I think, and so that's why the second part is there. You know what I mean? Yeah, Reckless Paradise. That definitely has a classic Billy Talent feel to it. It's probably one of the oldest songs on the record. I think I wrote it uh, around the time of Afraid of Heights. I was working on that one, and then we finished the album, and so I always thought that was a strong one. And then Ben and I worked on the lyrics on that around that time, like in 2019 when we were recording it. The rest of the album does there's moments that have that kind of our classic sound, and then there's other moments where we explore new sounds as well. A song like "For You," for example, like the last song in the album, it still sounds like us, but it's we wanted to do something a little bit more poppy and folky and a little more magical sounding. So that song is a really special song to us and one a good one to end the album on because there's a lot of heavy moments and a lot of aggressive moments and dark moments like a song like The Wolf. To get to the end, we thought that was a perfect fitting ending. I'm not big on collaborations. I never have been, but this thing was like I remember playing the demo of the song to Ben, and he like I had just started the song with this kind of Jimi Hendrix, John Frusciante riff, sounding riff, and then the other parts fully sounded like Weezer. It sounded like '90s heavy '90s Weezer guitars. And Ben had mentioned, why don't we ask Rivers if he'd sing on it? And I was like, that would be incredible, but he's probably not going to do it because he's Rivers, you know. It's like they're awesome, and then we had finished the entire song months later, and when it was mixed and mastered, and Ben had sang the second verse, we were like, why don't we try and see if he likes the song? So our manager sent it to his manager, and he replied back saying, "Yeah, I'll give something a try. I like the song." So we were like, "Oh, amazing!" I couldn't believe it because I'm a huge fan of his writing and Weezer in general. Some of the first shows, some of the first songs we covered when we were banned were Weezer songs. So back in the day in the '90s when Pez started. What I like most is just Rivers' delivery of that song, like the lyrically, is just it just reminds me of it. Literally takes me back to my early 20s, listening to those first two albums, the Blue album and the Pinkerton album, and he's always had this amazing sense of delivering tongue-in-cheek lyrics, and I'm so happy he did those second verse lines because they're really funny. And overall, that song is just a fun song, which is something we generally don't do, and we need to do sometimes. Like being a serious band all the time doesn't really show the personality of the band to its full extent. The one thing I always pay special attention to is just the arrangement of the songs. Like if there's something, I put a lot of the work goes into the pre-production of the songs, not just getting the sounds. Like that's secondary to me. Of course, you want to have good sounds, but getting the songs to a point where they're truly they feel great from front to back. And once I get to that spot and I get the demos to that spot, when we get in the studio, it's all about executing the best. The vocals we keep pretty much the same, so we'd use the same microphone and mic chain I'd use on Ben for the entire record, so there's a consistency there, and as well the drums. But for guitars and bass, we try out so many different things. Yeah. I probably the beat stakes is those guys are like, let alone like us touring with them years ago. We listen to the beat stakes a lot. Like their albums, they're incredible. There's a few other bands that like Itchy that we really like. Die Toten Hosen, obviously. I mean, they're one of our favorites. But yeah, there's a lot of great music coming from Germany, and we're always listening for recommendations from friends so we can we can go and listen to them. There will be more coming soon in the next. You'll hear about some more announcements in the next few months on our German and Austrian tour, and so yeah, you'll hear more in a few months. I don't think we've announced anything that yet. So okay, to our fans, we miss you so much. We miss Germany. We miss Europe. We are just so excited to come back in the summer for the first time in a very long time, and we hope to see you at Rock and Ring and Rock and Park, or our own tour, which we'll be announcing soon. Check out our new album, Crisis of Faith, in January.